The promises of God. Presumably, the creation story, confined to Genesis 1 to 2, could have been stretched over a dozen chapters or so, but it was not. Genesis does not address itself exhaustively to questions such as what is humankind or what is humankind's origin. Rather, it addresses questions like, what does it mean for a person to follow God in faith? Hence the Abraham story, or how does God use the life of the one who will honor him? Hence the Joseph story. Genesis, as the title suggests, is a book about beginnings, specifically the beginning of humankind and the beginning of a single family. It begins with a world untouched by sin. That pristine situation will not reoccur until end of Revelation. The untarnished world is shattered by Adam and Eve's dissatisfaction with their creaturely status and their coveting of a godlike stature. Sin puts a wedge within relationships established by God. There is alienation between humankind and God, between humankind and the animals, but sin snowballs. Genesis may be read as the cause and as the effects of sign. Cain, Lamech, the sons of God, the contemporaries of Noah, and the tower builders all follow in Adam and Eve's footsteps. Fratricide, polygamy, lust, violence, and self-aggrandizement are the fruits of disobeying God. Paul says that where sin increased, grace increased all the more. Clearly, we have abounding sin in Genesis. Do we also have abounding grace? Even the whole patriarchal section may be read as God's plan of redemption through one family for the sin-infested world. To that end, running throughout the patriarchal narratives is the theme of promise. The promise of a son, the promise of descendants, the promise of land, the promise of God's own presence, and the promise of spiritual influence among the nations. At every major point, the patriarchs are buoyed by the I will of God. God's covenant with the patriarchs is primarily unilateral rather than reciprocal. He is the one who commits himself through self-imposed oath to the fulfillment of this covenant and these promises. Only secondarily is human behavior introduced as a contingency factor. You will is subordinated to I will.